Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something that has been requested for a while now, both from people, of course, on YouTube and even just in my personal life. So I'm really excited to finally be bringing this video to you. Of course, you probably know by the title, but I'm just gonna basically be going over some quick budgeting tips, budgeting for beginners, going over a lot of the questions that I get asked when people are trying to start a budget or just trying to understand like how everything works, how to get started, all the basics. I want to start out with a few disclaimers. Number one, I am not a financial expert. I am a 22-year-old, I guess, college student. I mean, I've graduated college, but I'm back in college for my teaching credential. So everything I've learned is just through experience and through YouTube as well. So if you are planning on starting budgeting and it's something you're interested in, I mean, YouTube is a great place to learn about it, I think, or just the internet in general. There's, of course, lots of different ways of budgeting. Everything I tell you or show you is just what I do. I'm not telling you it's the only way and you have to do it this way. I'm just telling you and showing you what I do or what I have done and what works for me. But my income is very different than most people. My life is very different. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and just take what makes sense for you. Don't make yourself do exactly what I do because it may not work for you. So yeah, I just wanted to say all that so I don't get comments telling me that I don't know what I'm doing because I'm not saying I do. I'm just making this video because I've had a lot of people ask me questions and ask me if I could please make a video like this. Also, if you hear any background noise, that is my dog Violet. So I'm sorry about that, but she's probably gonna fall back to sleep here shortly because every time I film, she usually falls asleep. So let's just get right into it. So I'm gonna go through kind of the basics of everything, but I of course don't want this video to be like 4 hours long. So everything is going to be very basic. If you have any further questions, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if they're very specific, I can even make a separate video on them if it's too much to explain in the comments. So we're just gonna call this part one, and then we will see obviously what happens. So starting off, if you have never budgeted before and you kind of just spend your money however, every month is different, you literally are starting from nothing, I would highly recommend tracking your spending for a month if you can. If you need to be on a budget like right now, that's okay. But I would recommend just tracking your spending for an entire month. Like not having a budget, just tracking everything you spend like how you normally have been. And then once you finish that month, you can go through and kind of analyze all your numbers so you can see what you're spending money on. You can see how much money you're making. You can see if you put anything towards savings, what kind of unbudgeted, like random surprise expenses came up during the month. If there's anything that's super regular, like if you're seeing every Monday you spend this, or you know, you can start seeing these kinds of like I don't know what the word is, like habits almost. So I would recommend doing that. If you want to start budgeting now and you don't want to wait a whole month, you can always just go back like on your banking app if you use your debit or credit card the most, and you can just see all your expenses that way, like for the past month, and you can analyze those numbers, because obviously if you're starting from nothing, anything's gonna be better than just guessing. So I would highly recommend that, because if you are trying to put yourself on a budget, if you have no idea like what your previous numbers were, let's just use an example. Say last month you used $500 on groceries. If you didn't track that and you didn't know, and then you try to budget yourself $250 for the month, you're probably not going to succeed, because that's just like a huge jump, if that makes sense. Like, obviously it's possible, especially if you're just overspending on random stuff that you don't really need. It is possible, but if you have like an idea of like an average amount that you might spend, it's gonna be easier for you to stay on budget than if you're just kind of throwing numbers out there and you don't really know like what your average is. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that kind of helps you, because I feel like that's the main thing when people start, especially if you are new here. I should have mentioned this before, but I do budget with the cash system. It's not exactly Dave Ramsey, but it is inspired by that. So when I have people ask me like, oh, how do you know how much you put in your cash envelopes and how much you put in your sinking funds? It's really up to you. It's like you need to figure out how much you really spend on each of those things. So that's the first thing I'd say, is to track for a month or look back on your past expenses and see roughly like about how much you're spending. Obviously, if you're spending so much extra money on like spending per se, like fun money or spending, personal allowance, obviously it can be called a million different things, but if you find yourself spending $1,000 and you don't have $1,000 to be spending on that kind of stuff, then obviously that's when you cut your numbers back. But like if you are spending $100 on gas, you don't want to cut yourself down to $20 for the month, because you need to drive places, you need to get places. Like, you need to be reasonable with yourself and give yourself money where you need it, because obviously everybody's budget is going to be completely different and you need to make it work for you. So yeah, I'm going to move, this is my budget planner. I'm going to move it out of frame for now. I'll bring it back in later, but this is just a notebook. I'm just going to write things down for you guys. So you kind of know what's going on. I guess I can zoom in. So yes, I'd say number one, track expenses. And then number two, after you track your expenses, you will kind of see trends and habits and things that you spend your money on. And that's how you'll be able to pick your categories. So again, of course, this is going based on my kind of budgeting. So when I say categories, I mean like for my cash envelopes and for my sinking funds. You will see what you spend your money on. So every example I use is gonna be from my budget. So for my cash envelopes, I have gas, fun, and food. Those are the three categories I carry around with me, because those are the three things I spend money on. Of course, I don't have kids, I don't have a house, I don't have like a lot of things that other people might have. So really popular cash envelope categories are household, toiletries. You could even have like pets. I have my pet as a sinking fund rather than a cash envelope, just because I don't buy her stuff every single day. So obviously that's completely up to you. Also things like, I don't know, like some people have like a drinks sinking fund. If they have like a vending machine at their workplace, it's easier for them to have dollars available. You can have eating out and groceries separate. I have food combined. Like all of these things, everything is very much dependent on you and your lifestyle. But yes, that's why you need to go through and pick your categories, because obviously no one can pick those for you. No one knows what you spend your money on. So this is going to help you. So for me, I picked gas, fun, and food. Of course, I could split up food to eating out and groceries, but since I don't live alone, my food like does fluctuate. Some weeks I only buy groceries, some weeks I only eat out. So I don't want to have two separate envelopes and then not have money where I need it. So I just leave it as food because it works for me. So that's what you do. Then, of course, you look back at your expenses that you tracked and you see what you're spending money on. So you can either view it as like a whole month if you want to do a monthly budget, and then you can split it up by paycheck. Most people get paid bi-weekly. So let's just say you're going to give yourself $100 for fun money or allowance or spending money or whatever you want to call it. If you get paid bi-weekly and you have 2 paychecks in the month, that would split up obviously to $50 a paycheck or $50 every 2 weeks. So that's how you would budget your money. For me, I get paid every week because I have multiple sources of income coming in, and they're smaller, but they do come in every week. So I stuff my envelopes and my categories every single week. So if there's 4 Fridays or 5, let's just say 5 Fridays because it works better with 100, that would be $20 a week. So I hope this is all making sense, because if it's not, I don't know how else to explain it. But yes, so you can either pick a monthly goal and then base it and then like divide that. Violet is being so loud. Hey, what are you doing? She's playing with a water bottle, but don't worry, I took like the cap and everything off. So you can pick like a monthly amount, so going back to 100, and then you can split it up by paycheck, or whatever you want, because some people get paid weekly, some people get paid bi-weekly, some people get paid on the 1st and the 15th. It's all different. So some people get paid daily. Like, I don't know what your situation is, but you can pick a monthly amount and split it up by week, by paycheck, whatever you want. Or you can pick like a paycheck amount or a weekly amount or whenever you want to like pay yourself or stuff your envelopes, you can pick that amount. So if you want, like I usually do that for gas. So for gas, I know I want $20 a week. So then dependent on however many weeks there are in the month, that makes like my grand total of however much I'm going to spend on gas for the month. So I really hope that makes sense of how you can like pick how to budget your expenses. So you can either do a monthly amount and then split it up by week, by paycheck, whatever works for you. Or you can do like a paycheck, we'll just call it a paycheck amount, which means every time you get paid, you stuff a certain amount in each category. Again, if this doesn't make sense, let me know and I will try to clarify. But that's like the basics on cash envelopes, or how I came up with my numbers, how I think it would help you to come up with yours. Please, again, don't just guess, because it's gonna be hard. Just try your best to look back at your bank account if you didn't get to track, because that will show you how much you've been spending, and it'll kind of give you an idea of where you should put your numbers. So yes. And then we can move on to bills. So bills for me, I still have my bills in cash even though they come out of my bank account, and that's just for accountability. When my money is in my bank account, I like it, I'm not crazy. Like, I don't just go buying crazy stuff, but I don't see like a label that says car payment and this amount, and like Disney passes and this amount. I just see one big amount of money, and I don't know where it belongs or what it's for, and it's easier to spend money that's for something else when it's all just together, if that makes sense. So I do pull my money out for my bills, and I put it in cash envelopes, and then when it's time for my bills to come out of my account, I just deposit it back in my account, which it's not as much work as it sounds. I mean, most bills are just monthly, so you would only have to do it once a month. So it works for me. I used to think it was so extra, and I was like, I would never do that. It just comes out of your account, so why would you take the money out? But I totally get it, because if the money's just there, sometimes it's easy to just spend it when you don't know what it's for or what you need it for, and it's just sitting in your account. So I do recommend doing that, and I'm gonna go over how I like budget out my bills, because I feel like that's honestly the most confusing thing in my budget, at least. So the most important things you need to have to budget your bills is the amount due and the due date, of course. So I'm going to use my car payment as an example, and this is when I need my budget planner back in the frame. Let me get here for you. All right, so we're in August. So let's budget for September. So my car payment is due on the 12th of every month. So I'm going to get a pencil just because I don't want to actually write. I mean, obviously I'm going to write, but I can erase it. So this is our goal date. So first things first, of course, I know the amount of my car payment. It's $285 a month. So today is the 19th, and I get paid every week. So I stuff my envelopes every Friday. So I'm going to count how many Fridays I have until my bill is due. So starting off this week, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 Fridays before we hit the 12th. Say if this day, like, say if my bill was due the 11th, I would only count 3 Fridays, because you don't want to not have that money ready the day it's due. So yeah, but since it's the Saturday, that's okay, because it gives you time to still go to the bank on Friday, deposit that money, and make sure it can come out on Saturday. So we have 4 Fridays until our bill is due. So then we take our calculator, we take our amount, which is $285, and we divide it by 4, because we have 4 Fridays. And that brings us to $71.25. Since it is in cash, if there's ever change, I kind of just round up. So I would put $72 aside each week, so then I'm ready for that bill whenever it is to come. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like that's honestly what I do every week, because every month, because every month is different. Some months have 5 weeks, some months have 4, And since I stuff on Fridays, it just is dependent on the Friday. So even if there's 5 weeks, if there's only 4 Fridays, that really makes my budget change. So that's what I do every single month. Like, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I was stuffing $70 for my car payment for a while, but then since last month had 5 Fridays, now I'm only stuffing $50 because I had more time before my bill. And I just do that for all my bills, even if my bill is smaller. So my gym bill is $20. So say the same thing. My gym bill would technically be due on the 18th, but obviously my gym is closed, but let's just say it is. And today's the 19th, so we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 Fridays because we won't want to count this day since it's the actual due date. So we would have 4 weeks before that bill is due. So it's $20 divided by 4, which obviously is 5. So even though it's a small amount of $5, you would still be just adding $5 each week so that you're ready for that bill to come out. And I hope that makes sense because that's what I do and it works for me. So yes, let's see what else. Now I'm going to move on to sinking funds, which first, if you don't know what a sinking fund is, they are basically like mini savings accounts. So for me, I have quite a few. I have some like beauty, car, Christmas, clothing, gifts, Disney, holiday, Violet, taxes, and other ones as well. But yes, so they're basically just little savings accounts for specific things. So for example, my sinking fund for my dog. Obviously, I know I'm going to need to be buying her stuff like food. When she goes to the vet, I need to pay all these kinds of things, but they don't have like specific days like bills do. So I feel like sinking funds are really important because the things that I budget in my sinking funds, I feel like are the things that most people go out of budget for because they are just kind of like random things that come up and like you obviously have to pay. It's not like you can just not buy your dog food or you know, like some things, of course, like beauty and clothing, those are materialistic things that you don't need. But when you're budgeting, that doesn't mean you can't have like the things you want. Obviously, if you're on a super tight budget, you're not going to prioritize buying clothes over buying groceries. But if you do have that extra money or if you do want to budget for those things, I think it's really important because if you don't, you're not going to want to stick to your budget because you're going to want things. Like, that's a normal thing to do. You're a human, like, you're going to want things. So if you budget for it, it's better because you get to have the things you want and still have the money for the things you need. I hope that makes sense. This whole video should just be titled, I hope that makes sense, because I hope it does, and I don't know if it does. So, sinking funds are a lot like cash envelopes when it comes to budgeting them. You can either have like an overall like amount or goal, which is like what I have for Christmas. I had a goal of $500. So let's do that one first. So a goal or big amount. So this can also be for like annual bills. So like car tags, or I don't know what else would be an annual bill, but anything that's only like once a year, you can make a sinking fund for. So I do that for my car tags. So that would be under this as well, like a goal or a big amount. that you have a date for. So Christmas, of course, has a date because I know when Christmas is and I know when I need the money by, so that I can obviously buy gifts. So for Christmas, I budgeted $500 for the year. So doing the math, that brings us to $10 a week because of course there's 52 weeks in a year and Christmas is like one of the last weeks. So if I budgeted $10 a week from the beginning of the year, right after Christmas just ended and no one wants to think about it anymore, I started budgeting for this year. So that's $10 a week, which seems so small when you're adding it each week, but it does add up, and then you're not stressing about Christmas and if you can buy gifts for everyone and all that stuff. So that's what you can do. Also, car tags is like a thing. So I don't know how much mine are as of yet, but I think last year they were like $260, I want to say. So but my tags aren't due till January. So say they're $260 again, due in January. Then you would do the same thing that I just showed you with bills, but you would do it with, obviously this is a bill, but it's different because it's for a whole year rather than just a month. So you would do that and you would count how many weeks you have or how many paychecks you have until that needs to be paid. And then you would just put that amount in your sinking fund. So that's for goals or big amounts, like you know the amount you need. The other kind of sinking fund, well, it's not a different kind, but the other way you can do sinking funds is how I do the one for my dog. So this is kind of just like, I'm going to call it average needed. So when it comes to Violet, I don't have like a bill when it comes to her. I don't know if she's going to get sick. I don't know when she needs to like go to the vet. I obviously have like a rough estimate of how often I buy her food, but depending on the month, it might change. And yeah, so all those things are very different and variable. So I just budget for her sinking fund as like an average needed. So I used to put $15 in her sinking fund a week, but then when I would need to buy her food or she would need to go to the vet, I wouldn't have enough money for those things. So I realized that I needed to be adding more. So now I add $20 a week, and that's been working out really well for us. Her food is $60, so that's basically every 3 weeks I have enough money for her food, and her food usually lasts her about 5 weeks. So that gives me like a little extra wiggle room to like save up a little more money for her if I need to buy her anything else. Obviously, I don't just need to buy her food. Sometimes I need to buy her like treats. Well, I don't need to, but I want to buy her treats or toys or go to the vet, get vaccinations, like all these things. So I do that. I hope that makes sense. That can be for anything, like for beauty. I also did that. I used to add, I believe, $10 a week, and that was when I was getting my nails done every 2 to 3 weeks. And that worked out for me. So you can do that. You can do a big goal or like a set amount by a certain date, or you can just do average needed. So whatever amount works for you. And I hope that makes sense, and I hope you're not annoyed with me yet because I keep saying I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so we're going to move on from sinking funds because I don't really know what else to say about that. But lastly is savings. So I'm not going to talk too much about savings in this video because I'm going to have another video coming out tomorrow talking about my savings challenges. But I did just want to say that I do think saving is so important, and even if you don't have a lot of money, like putting savings as a priority is going to help you in the long run. I'm not saying you need to put like half of your like whole paycheck into savings, because that's not reasonable. Even if you're just putting $1, it's gonna add up, and as long as you don't touch that money, like, it's gonna be there when you need it. And I just think it's really important. So that's mainly what I wanted to say, is to just set an amount and don't make it like an option. So even if it is $1, just be like, I'm gonna put $1 every time I get paid, and just put it in there as if it's a bill. Like, don't say, oh, if I get my next paycheck and I have a little extra money, then I'll put it in savings. Because chances are you're not gonna put it in savings, because when that paycheck comes, there's always gonna be something that comes up. So even if it's $1, put it in savings, and I promise you it will add up, and you will be so happy later on when you have money set aside for actual like emergencies, or like buying something that you're really, really saving for. So savings is super important. So set an amount, and then also, which is going to go into my video that I'm filming and uploading tomorrow, is making it fun or doing some kind of challenge. So I'm doing 2 challenges in 2020. One I've been doing since the start, and one I just started actually this month, which I'm going to be talking all about tomorrow and explaining them. So if you guys want some kind of savings challenge, be sure to check out that video, because I'm going to go over everything so you know like what to do, how to do it, and all this stuff. But yeah, just make savings fun, and it'll obviously be more enjoyable as anything. But yeah, I feel like savings, when it's like, most people kind of dread it, like dread taking some of their paycheck money and putting it aside, which I get. Obviously it's not like the funnest thing to do, but just don't think of it as like not having that money, because that money is still yours. You're just putting it aside for something really important or an emergency. So it's not like you're giving it away. It's still yours. It's just, you're just saving it for later. So I really hope this video was helpful. Once again, I am going to be filming a whole video on my savings challenges. Also, if you are new, or if you just missed my Monday upload, if you are trying to start a budget, I actually have a giveaway going on right now, and it'll help you out a lot, because I'm giving away a planner with a bunch of stickers and cash envelopes, which are all available in my Etsy shop, which of course is linked below. But be sure to check out that video, because I'd love for you guys to enter and be able to win. Also, in that video, I did announce a special coupon code for my Etsy shop. So if you're looking to buy cash envelopes or stickers, you have until Monday the 24th to use that coupon. It's 30% off your entire purchase, and with no minimum purchase as well. And then the giveaway also runs until Monday the 24th. So be sure to check out that video before then, so you can enter and have a chance to win. But that is going to be it for this video. Of course, leave me comments down below if you have any further questions, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye guys.